board here too. Thank you. Anybody not get one? All right. Let's see. So 5 comes on. There we go. So let's start by singing. One thing I would always suggest when you're composing counterpoint is to sing it. So you kind of are going to get the best sense of how this melody works. So Phrygian, like I said, kind of the strangest mode. We sing the Phrygian mode up and down first. It goes me to me. So ready? And. So let's try singing this cantus firmus. We'll sing on the C major syllables. So that it goes, starts off with mi, do, re, do, ti, re, so, fa, mi. Ready? And. Mi, do, re, do, ti, re, so, fa, mi. I think Phrygian can sound really nice in counterpoint context. It has that antique, archaic sound that some of the modes have. But one thing that I always find I contend with is that it tends to feel incomplete. You kind of get to the end of a Phrygian counterpoint and you go, it doesn't sound like you really arrived at a cadence. Particularly when you put a So let's talk about how to start this. This one I'll ask you to fill some of the notes in here, but I want to make sure that we're really comfortable with how to do second species. So you'll remember from the other day that I have a choice whether I want to start with a rest or start right on the beat. I think a lot of times it's easier to start with the rest, but in this case we have a cantus firmus that will let us start on the beat if we want to, so I'm going to show you how that works. If you're writing these by hand, it's always useful to try to be as neat as you can to try to line things up and not like get wobbly all over the page. But I'm going to start here on the octave, then I'm going to walk up there, up to G. So 8, 9, and then 5th rather than 12th, just to keep things easy. I'm going to remake my 8 because it's terrible and it looks like a 7. Here we go. So in this case, I did this because I kind of looked ahead. The thing you want to do when you're writing these is look ahead to the second note of the cantus firmus maybe and see, okay, if I start on E, where can I go from there? I have C here, right? So if I think about if I started on E, what are some of the things I can do? Can I step upwards to D? No, because I have C there. I could leap down. I can't leap down to C either. If I do E, C, that would be parallel. So what I'm doing is kind of going through in my head all the things. All right, I can go E. Could I go up to F? No. E up to G. That's what I ended up doing through this stepwise thing. So kind of first trying out different things. You'll see that if a counterpoint, if the cantus firmus starts with a step, there are certain things you can do. If it starts with a third, certain things you can do. So it's kind of something you have to just feel out and experiment with a little bit. In this case, I looked before class, how can I start this? And I found this might be a nice way. It goes like this. So from there, I might try to go to something that is going to do good counterpoint with C and then stepping upwards. So does anyone have a good idea of where I can go next that is going to create easy counterpoint with C, and then it's going to step up to D. What can I do? I could continue stepwise. I could leap.
Step up to the next sixth.
Yeah, exactly. So if I have that spot, right? You remember fifths and sixths, or sixths and fifths allow you to have a nice consonant stepwise motion. And here I can either keep stepping with it, it'll be another sixth, or I might choose to change directions because I'm on a consonance. One of the trickier rules to get your head around in second species is leaping can only happen to and from consonances. Let me write that down for you. Leaps can only happen, you might say, between consonances, or you might say you can only leap to and from. So if I want to have a leap here, the first note of the leap has to be consonant, the second note has to be consonant there. I can't leap from, this. If I write this 8, 9, I can't leap away from there. Nor can I leap up to a seventh, until I'm causing lots of consternation in the Renaissance when they started to do that. So I've got this. I could leap down here to F, or I can keep going up, maybe to B. So let me maybe try the leap, just looking at where I'm going to end up. So second species counterpoint, I often think you have to plan a little more ahead and think, okay, if I do this, where am I going to be in 2 steps? And so right now, one of the things I see is maybe I can leap down to F, and I can keep that going. So maybe I'll leap down to F here and create a third, it's a 10th or a third, just say a third even for simplicity's sake. And I can walk back up. That's dissonant, but this will become a sixth when they walk away. So I sort of see, okay, here's 3 more good notes that I can do. The other thing that starts to come into my head, right, is that I need to have an apex somewhere. I need the ending. I actually could go and write the ending like I always have told you to do so far. But I also need to think about where this is going to go. So now, here's what I've got. Pretty. So, thinking about the apex, what I might do is get ready to leap here. So, yeah, this should work well. So if I want to leap up, I have to prepare it with a step down, right? So I'm going to step down here. I've got that perfect 6 to 5 spot. And then I'm going to give myself a nice big leap up on the next measure. I have B down there. So, I could leap to D. That's easy. That's not very high. It's not going to give me maybe a really exciting line. I'm going to try leaping to D, all the way up to the 10th above B. So G up to D. That's going to give me something nice and dramatic. Remember, the apex to the cantus firmus is over here, so I don't have to worry about that. I'll do that, and then I'll step down from that. So C, and then probably continue. Can I continue if I have D there? Yeah. I can keep walking down to B. I'll put that up in just a moment too. So now I've got this. B in here. D, B creates a sixth. So let's do that one more time. There, I probably won't go up that high again. So now maybe I'll look to the end of this counterpoint. Although I say I won't go up that high again, I could potentially end it there as well. It's okay if your apex is your final note. But maybe we'll try to work our way back down now that we've done that. Let's try this. At this point, I want to write the 8. I know I want a D ahead of it too. And in this case, this is one of those modes where I can't write E, D, E, right? Because F up to E would be dissonant. So I have to do my D there. And I know, just looking at the register I have to span, if I think about ways I could approach this, it would work to go B, C, D, E, but I don't know if I'm going to be able to get down that far like that. That seems like a stretch, so maybe I'll try to do E here. So that's a sixth. That's a sixth. Maybe we'll, yeah, it looks like we can connect these dots actually. If we do a little third, remember a third is small enough that I don't have to prepare it. And an A should work. Might want to see if we can get something a little better sounding than fifth octave. That's going to sound kind of dry in the middle of our counterpoint, but it's not illegal. They're not direct here. So here's what we've got. Stems on these apparently. It's fine if when you do these on paper, we'll do some actual paper assignments starting next week. It won't always be writing on the computer. Oop, not there. So it's good to do this, but it's not a big deal if you forget. I know what you mean. So that's kind of how it should end up looking. So I think that this has worked out reasonably well. We've got our apex up there. You know, it's really covering a lot of ground in the second half of it. But I think that worked out fairly nicely. Are there any, at this point, questions about what I was doing, what I was thinking about, steps that I went through or glossed over? I think I, tried to make this one pretty clear, the kind of steps that I was going through. You're sort of following the same methods that you would have in your first species counterpoints. Start at the beginning, write the cadence at some point before you get there, and then kind of connect them together, keeping in mind things like having an apex, not doing sort of illegal motions or anything like that. So let's sing this all together now. Let's say, let's see, this is a natural, we've got kind of a natural B going here, so Jacob on back there. Why don't you try the top voice first, over here, actually over. Let's do the lower voice. So lower voice, far side of the room, or then I'll go along with the top voice, people up here, since you have something a little bit harder. And we'll take it about this tempo too. We'll go. Red. ready, and. Switch parts. Top voice over on that half of the room now, bottom voice over here. And there's our key, stay nice and tuned. 1, 2, ready, and. Awesome. All right, so that's all I have for you. If there are any last questions, feel free to see.